is it's a way of identifying the individual with this world governmental system. And the reason why it's called the mark of the beast is because in the book of Revelations, it talks about a beast that rises from the sea, the waters which represent many peoples, nations, and tongues. And it causes all rich and poor, free and slave to receive a mark on the right hand or the forehead. So because people have been hearing about this quantum dot tattoo and ID 2020 and what's going on with the pandemic, they think that this is the mark of the beast. I personally don't think it is. I think it's a way of preparing people to move in that direction. And the financial system that we're rolling out is basically a way for them to lock down the system, force everyone to receive this vaccine, then give everyone a social credit score linked to a certificate of vaccination, bankrupt the middle class. Bankrupt the middle class. We're seeing 30-40% unemployment. Businesses going, filing bankruptcy. And really all you're going to have left is the big corporate structure that handles this. And they don't have to mandate that everyone receive the vaccine, because all they have to do is make it so that corporations won't allow you to, big businesses like Walmart, Target, won't allow you to shop there unless you have your certificate of vaccination.
Starve you out.
And then let's say I come within 10 feet of Nick and I've got a social credit score and Nick has a bad social credit score, like what we're seeing in the technocratic system over in China. All of a sudden my social credit score begins to go down.
So you don't
because
have
I'm
anymore.
Yeah. So it's a way to have society basically desocialize themselves from those that won't go along with this new world order, this new international economic order. And the Great Reset is basically the financial structure of moving us to a new digital economy that will run on currencies like Ripple XRP, and then all of your information. So you have several different cryptocurrencies, and in each case, whether it's your online identity or it's your social security or whatever it is, each cryptocurrency that handles certain areas of that identification will be linked up through Chainlink, a central hub. And so your entire life, so people won't know this is going on because they'll jump on board with one cryptocurrency or the other.
They think they're isolated companies, but it's the Internet of Things, right?
It's like all of our information being shared by these corporations. The same thing will happen with these digital currencies. And then it'll run on a two-tier monetary system. A few months ago, the U.S. government came out with the Digital Dollar Project white paper, and it outlines a two-tier monetary system whereby these CBDCs or digital dollars will run on this REL system, which will then later be tethered to the IMF and World Bank and then issued as special drawing rights, be tethered to the special drawing right and then issued to third world countries in the form of nation building under Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030.
And the first class world, the third class world, like the two kinds of different money standards, is that what you're saying?
Well, China's already developed their digital currency, their CBDC, but Russia, India, Europe, United States, we're all developing our digital dollar. That digital dollar will run on this REL, which is most likely will be XRP or some version of it. And then they will tax the digital transactions that we do that will service the debt that they're blowing up right now. And then they'll roll, they're inflating it. They'll roll that over into a decentralized ledger like XRP. And then as we transact with these digital dollars, it'll be taxed and it will service that debt. They will issue. They'll issue the special drawing rights to these countries, and then as they create that debt, the rest of society will actually service that debt through our transactions.
Yes,
and it gives them complete and total control of the global financial system.
It's so insidious, it's ridiculous, but it's so like you can tell it dates back occult knowledge generation. Like this kind of shit, like people were like they refuse to believe it exists because unless you really study it and look into how it came to exist, like you couldn't imagine.
And if you don't go along with it, they'll just switch you off. It's that simple.
Oh yeah. Well, we had a doctor on our show the other night, and I think I told you a little bit about it, but he was very, you listened to it, you said, and he was very, you agreed, he was very, I mean, not at all like outrageous.
He was really down to earth. Yeah, he was really down to earth.
Right, that's a good way to put it. And he was pro-vaccination and all that stuff. I think what he said that upset them was that he was not recommending anybody get a vaccine right now because he can't trust where the source is. Right. That's probably what it was. But if anything, but he got his account, his private account, not a business, not a promotion, got erased from YouTube that very night, scrubbed. And I think it like might have messed him up. Dr. Life, if you're out there somehow, some way listening to this, man, please reach out to me. I promise I'm not going to try to get you on a show ever again or anything. I just want to know you're all right. Like, I'm sorry if I caused you any harm, man.
Well, they're censoring everybody right now. This all started off with them censoring us through using deep learning artificial intelligence, moving us into this new digital financial system, which ultimately will lead to censorship of us financially. Not just demonetization, but a complete and total censorship.
You can't make money.
You can't work, you can't shop, you can't go anywhere, you can't fly. In China, they're called untouchables. And they can't fly, they can't get on trains, they're told where they can live, where they can't live. If you're not supposed to talk to them, come in contact with them. People
We're
walk
the
on the other side of the
untouchables, guys.
street.
We're the untouchables, by the way.
Untouchables.
Oh, I didn't even look at it. I like that.
The expandables. We're the expandables.
I kind of have a question.
I am untouchable.
Guys, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Michelle. Yeah.
I'm
Hit
just super curious. What do you think is going to happen? Like, what do you think is going to happen to the people those people, like the rejects? Like, are they just going to let us, like, live out our lives, like, as a hermit in society, or are they going to take us
They're hoping
somewhere?
to starve you out. Like they're gonna let you starve and slowly but surely be dejected by your society around you and just get desperate and depressed and fucking want to kill yourself or become a drug addict or whatever else.
Society's going to hate
Wouldn't
you.
they be afraid that you're going to wake people up around you? Like, are they going to take us somewhere?
They don't worry about that until you get to a level of like influence.
Yeah.
they'll start, like,
They
giving you
just weed out the people
targeting.
who are.
You won't be able to wake people up around you because most people will have a cell phone on them and have a social credit score.
Wow,
if you come
yeah.
within a certain, your family and your friends are going to start distancing
Yeah, you
themselves
can't
because
interact with them at all.
being
Wow.
in interaction with them is going to cause you problems. So people will start self-policing.
Wow.
And so that's really what this is. It's rolling over to this new system, and they're using the pandemic as a cover. I've told this to Nick.
6 feet separation, and they're conditioning us already for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
No?
So, and I've told people what we're seeing. We've been seeing this push towards global governance, and it's being camouflaged and cloaked in humanitarianism, in multiculturalism.
The popular term globalism. It sounds nice.
Mhm.
Who doesn't want a better connected globe?
Right,
It's serious.
environmental threats like globalization or global warming, and that's to condition people into accepting globalization, and with it, the slow, steady move towards this unified socialist world governmental system. Because if
Also
your goal,
transhumanism, right? Homogenization of the sexes and stuff like that too. It's all just
Mhm.
like
Hey,
and this gets
stuff like
into
that.
what Pilot was talking about, because if your goal is a one world government, then you cannot have national sovereignty. You can't have borders.
Right.
Yeah.
And you sure the hell can't have a well-armed society that's willing to fight and die for their freedoms and their rights which are protected by the Constitution. This is why the Constitution.
Constitution
This is-
must go.
So they're trying to destroy patriotism. You're seeing it in sports. And so this really what happened is too many people were waking up and they have a deadline, and that deadline is 2030. They have to get this whole system in place by 2030. And it
So they're rolling
wasn't
out fast now because people were waking up, right?
They
They're rolling fast and hard. They made mistakes though. From what tell me if my source is correct on this or not, my friend, or from what you've heard. The virus was definitely, genetically created in both America and China. I mean, I'm not here to argue or speculate that. Like, that's okay if you don't believe it. But the interesting thing I found from his story is it was intended to be released, of course, but something happened mistakenly and it got out early. It was supposed to come in April 2020. And for some reason, it leaked out somehow, some way. But that wasn't part of their plan. They made a mistake, I think. Are you hearing anything about that?
I don't know about that. I do know that there were scientists that were working here in the United States and also in Canada, and that these
Harvard
not
University.
just this virus but other viruses were being shipped over to the Wuhan laboratory.
Yeah.
I do
And
think
we're taxed that too. Our tax dollars paid for Wuhan too, like millions of dollars, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So personally, I don't believe that this just popped up. Some bat gave it to an armadillo that gave it to somebody in a
Come on, give me a
wet
break.
market, but because of they rolled out all of this so quickly. They were preparing for this, and so this isn't just them on the fly. You could be correct; it could have happened sooner than they wanted it to.
Not quite the way they meant for it to come out, or something. Maybe this is
Right.
allegedly. I don't know how he blows cover even it, but this is a deep throat. That is a CIA guy. I'll say he's not a alleged CIA. As far as I can tell, he's a CIA ex-CIA that told me this.
Well, Klaus Schwab said that it's kind of like the never let a good crisis go to waste, that they have a very small window to roll out this great reset, and they plan to capitalize on this, and it's not looking good for the United States. The gate, for over several decades, that gate, so the fence they've been building the fence around us, and they're now closing that gate.
Wow, dude. Girls, any activity in any chats anywhere by chance?
Yeah, I've actually been trying to say pilots.
I saw you, Mel. I'm sorry. I was trying to work you in. I was just so compelled by Jacob.
I know. I didn't want to interrupt.
Really.
But pilots trying to join. So.
Oh, I didn't even. Dude, I thought you left. Yeah, let's get it.
Yeah.
Pilot, can you tell me which room is the chat and even on Discord? The lounge.
From before then. It's from a little bit ago, but anyway.
What are you saying that
he just wants to join. He's also asking for the lounge on Discord. Oh wait, no, that was you.
Yeah, I hit that one. What's he saying exactly? Join. Okay, I'll invite you right now. Bear with me, guys. I am hosting for the first time and producing at the same time, which is not my forte, if that's not obvious. But my team's holding me down, and if anybody's out there chatting it up with us or got any questions for Jake thus far, that's what he's here for. The ladies are looking for your questions out there. They're actively monitoring the chats, eagerly awaiting some interaction. Is there anybody out there? Are we already all AI? Dun, dun, dun. Oh shit! I think my guys, if I get booted out of here, I hope that doesn't kill it. I have a feeling my browser might be freezing right now. If the whole God is good, man. I was just gonna say, if the whole thing goes down, everybody out there, we will be right back with a new post. You stick around, but God is good. So, girls, anybody talking to us out there yet?
Not on YouTube. Michelle.
No, I don't
good.
see.
Fuck YouTube. I would rather them not. Put it in our Discord though, man. I guarantee there's at least going to be some people in there who are listening and watching.
Michelle's got Discord, so.
And that's my homies over there, by the way, at the Discord too. ADHD, just like these that represent. Let's get it, guys. Post your stuff that you do in the Discord right now. There'll be more activity in there. So like, if you make music or whatever art, post it in there right now, people in the ADHD Discord.
Maybe people are opening Christmas gifts.
Oh, I'm sure they are. And like, dude, the last thing I would do is listen to an idiot like me on Christmas night. So I totally get it. I'm expecting nobody, and like
we
that's
give
just
the
fine.
gift of truth.
Oh, I like it. That's it's good. Yeah, yeah. That's what we do here on ADHD. But how can I'm gonna put it like this? Would you yes or no agree that the Constitution is kind of like the only document on Earth that, rather than what's the right word? Rather than making the individual sacrifice at the benefit of the state, the state is sacrificed at the benefit of the individual. And that for that reason alone, I find it kind of a unique, at least a philosophical outlook. That concept right there to me is like the tenets of everything. Because government always tends to grow. And once it takes power from you, it never gives it back willingly. If you look at history, once government takes more power, you'll never get it back without an armed revolution, at least. You know what I mean? Like, every right you give up, they're never giving that back. I don't care when they tell you they will. That you're going to be holding your breath for a long time. But,
yeah, we've been allowed to be a capitalist system for as long as we have because of the freedoms that were afforded because of the Constitution. But that was all kind of planned and built into the system that these individuals have been moving society towards. Because it's not just here in the United States. This is really a global agenda. When we're talking about the deep state, when we're talking about the individuals and organizations that make up this network of elite, capitalism has been a crucial part of that to be able to finance, fund, grow society to the point that they need it institutionally to be able then to not only use our own tax dollars to enslave us to this system.
have the tech to be able to do so properly.
To have the tech to do so appropriately.
Yeah, they had to develop it, man. Now it's developed to the point that they're like, we can roll out. We can announce ourselves. We're here.
Yeah.
We're your masters, and get used to it.
A lot of people, I have a lot of friends that will ask me, who are they? Are we talking about the Illuminati? Who are we talking about? Who are the globalist elite?
They.
Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt,
Hit
but
us.
this is important.
Go.
Somebody on the pill chat is saying, "Is there going to be a live?" And I said, "We're live now. Can you see it?" They said no.
Okay, 1 second. We'll look into that. Thank you for chatting us up and telling us what's going on out there, whoever that is. What's the username?
That's Web Gorilla.
Oh, that's my boy
Well,
Matt. That, by the way, designed pills on
Fortunately,
that.
we do have this at least saved on YouTube. So
Yeah, but dude, if
like,
none
I'm
of this
just
is
saying,
live
like,
right
the
now,
video's not.
we,
It's not like gone. That's all.
Do we have a link to the show that I can check on the other side here?
I mean, Matt, this is like the designer of Pill.net. I definitely trust him that there's no stream up right now. I just don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I went wrong.
Do you want me to
Well,
shut off the
we're
YouTube
at least
stream?
recording, right? On.
Do you want me to like end the YouTube stream, save that, and then put the part 2? When you get-
Don't end the YouTube stream. Let's
Okay.
keep that going for the record. At least, yes, that is out there for sure. And again, fuck YouTube for the record. But they're good for something right now.
Yeah.
We'll use their ass like they use us.
At least
No
wait
problem.
till you get pilled going.
Well, no, I'm definitely
I'm
going
just
to get
kidding.
Pill going. Like,
Yeah.
those are my people.
Or put the YouTube link on the pill chat.
Yeah, can you girls do that right now? My browser's freezing and stuff.
Yeah,
Like, that's a great initiative. Great
so
thought.
you're the one who
Earthy mermaid.
has
Wink, wink.
the access to the pill chat. Could you put that in there, please?
All right.
That's
Now
That's
it's
using
on
your
your
head.
channel.
Fuck YouTube. Let's use them
And
for our
also,
benefit. Like,
did you get
doing
let
the hell
Pilot
out of
back
us.
in? Did you? Is
Mel, are
Pilot
you
still,
saying something right now? I see your mouth moving, but I can't hear you whatsoever.
Is Pilot still trying to get in?
Still can't hear you whatsoever. Maybe it's my just
She's
like,
asking
really
if
freezing up,
Pilot's
so it could be
still
me.
trying to get in.
Type in the chat, Mel.
She asked if Pilot.
People out there, just so you know, like, if you're expecting to get anything else but this from this show, like, you might not want to tune in next week. Like, this is how it is. This is how it's gonna be, and
We'll
like,
work out all the bugs.
you know, at least we're not like scripted and You can tell we're not pre-contrived. Like,
It's
that's,
the
a fact.
ultimate
But,
psyop.
that's-
We
we're
just
trying to fucking have
appear to
fun.
be a group of people who don't know anything.
Mel's still talking. I can tell. I wish I could hear what she's saying right now because it sounds like she has a good joke or something. Can anybody else?
Mel,
Can
is it
somebody
on
else
your
talk so I
channel?
know that it's just Mel or is it my stuff?
I can hear you
me?
guys.
Okay.
Just
I
fine.
can't hear any of you. Fuck, it's my stuff, guys. Okay? So it's just you three talking. Make some conversation for right now. I'll figure it out on my end. But go.
You didn't accidentally
Have fun.
you didn't accidentally mute it down there, did you?
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear all you guys.
So I
Me
mean,
too.
it's-
I can hear everybody.
I've decided
you
to
don't
take
know
the
what
show
I can
over.
hear. Okay, sweet.
No, I'm kidding.
You can talk to me in the chat. That's about all I can.
So if you want to talk crap about Nick,
We
now's
can
the
still
time
see
to
your
do it.
face. Oh, you
Hey
can
guys,
even-
so is it on
We
is it on
can still see his
ADHD
face.
or is it on Mel's channel?
It's on ADHD.
This is so fucking ridiculous, amateur hour. I love it.
Amateur
We-
hour.
I'm an audio engineer too by trade. Like, you guys look at how bad this hurts my pride. Like, inside when this kind of stuff goes down, it happens every time without fail. It's God just showing me like you're going through a test right now. You have to learn to adapt to this and just not care. Just for the record, we can still hear you. Oh, I know. Thank you. Good look,
Okay,
Mel, by the way.
yeah.
Good look. But continue, guys, because I can't hear you. Like, and we have our live show going on right now, so we can't stop it.
I'm
You
trying
guys
to
have
find the
pick up
video
pace,
on
'cause
YouTube, but I need
Yeah,
at least a
well.
title or something.
Don't mind me. I'll be over here trying to fix the problem, but you guys keep the content going out to people.
Okay,
Melanie,
so
ask, ask Jake a question of some depth or whatever. Run. Ask him a question. Go.
Well,
Serious.
okay, wait. Well,
Something-
you were just about to, he was just about to say something. I'm totally down to like engage.
Okay,
more
now
in
Mel
this
looks like she's like
conversation,
not
but
happy
Jake,
that
just
I asked her to
continue
do.
where
Oh,
you were
Matt,
going,
dude,
and we'll
fuck
go
yeah,
from
Matt. Thank you. Here, Matt, you're on mute. Thank you, Matt. You're
Okay.
like, fuck yes, dude.
there. Jake, I'm
Um,
really interested in hearing. Like,
so-
all
I
the
can't hear
things
you
you're
either right now,
talking
Matt.
about.
I'm gonna leave this. Oh, I can't leave it.
Not hear me? You cannot
He
hear
can't
me?
I'm
hear
having
you.
audio issues. I can't hear anybody. My browser's freezing up.
Can anybody else hear me?
We can all
yeah,
hear
I can hear you.
Everything's
Everybody else
working
can
for
hear it. It's fine.
everybody else.
You guys run the show.
But you can chat
So,
too.
I'm not
okay.
gonna chat if you need to tell me
can
anything because I
just-
cannot.
You're
look
not-
right
you're
here.
not live.
You're all trying to say something. It looks like
Okay.
You're not live
that
on
problem has not
Phil.net.
ended.
We
But you guys are
in
great.
60
All four of
within
these
60
characters in
seconds,
here
we should have
are
this
great
back
content. So you guys just
in motion.
jam it up.
Yeah.
Stay. Oh, I'm staying, Michelle. No doubt. I'm not like you. Like, I'll just leave, guys. No, just kidding, girlfriend. I love you.
Okay. So Jake,
Yeah,
where were you? What were you saying just a minute ago?
that a lot of people ask me
Yeah, I'm not looking at any of y'all. If you're, I don't know what's going on. I'm just looking at the chat. If you need to talk to me, you can talk to me there. But like, otherwise, I don't know what's going on out there. I can't hear a thing. Nick, let him talk. Oh, shit. Well, I should mute myself. Exactly. I'm sorry, guys.
So when we're talking about the deep state, when we're talking about the globalist elite that run the world, a lot of people will ask, who are we dealing with? Is this the Illuminati? Is it Freemasonry? Is it the Jesuit order? Is it the black nobility families? And so a lot of my research was in how this network operates. Professor Carroll Quigley, he was a history professor at Georgetown University. He was Bill Clinton's history professor. He wrote a book called Tragedy and Hope. And in that book, he identifies two main organizations that he states controls most of the world's affairs, that being the Jesuit order and the black nobility Jewish banking families of Europe, whether we're talking about the Warburg organizations. And so on the Jesuit side, through the Knights of Malta, which is the military order of the Jesuit order, it's also known as the Order of St. John of Jerusalem or the Knights Templar of the York Rite of Freemasonry. And through them, they control much of Freemasonry through the Grand Orient Lodges and the United Grand Lodge of England, which the Duke of Kent is the head over. He's cousins to the Queen of England. She's the head over the Order of the Garter, which is directly connected to the Knights of Malta. It's composed of 24 individuals, and they control an organization known as the Club of Rome. A lot of times people will refer to it as the Committee of 300. And from this organization, there are several, it acts as an umbrella group for organizations such as the Royal Institute for International Affairs. It's known as the Council on Foreign Relations in the United States, or Chatham House in London. And through these three organizations, they control most of the media and most of the world's intelligence agencies globally. I was talking earlier with Nick about, I think I was talking to you guys about how J.P. Morgan in 1917 basically took control of much of the media by buying out the controlling shares of 24 of the largest newspapers and then placing an editor at each one. And so when we're talking about this deep state system and these individuals that operate inside of our intelligence agencies, you have individuals like Bill Binney and Kevin Shipp. Bill Binney was head of data at the NSA. He developed programs such as Stellar Winds, Weeping Angel, Prism, and several others. And when you look into not only the programs that they're using to monitor us, but to profile us through deep learning artificial intelligence, this network operates globally. They used to operate under an umbrella group known as the East India Company, which then was reformed. But most people will tell you that much of our media and much of the media globally is actually controlled out of London. And so when we're talking about the Illuminati and Freemasonry, how that comes in is because Adam Weishaupt, who was a professor of canon law at the University of Ingolstadt, Bavaria, Germany, he was an ex-Jesuit priest. Individuals that were close to him, like Baron von Nigg, believed that he was working on behalf of the Jesuit order, even though the Illuminati was anti-Jesuit. And as I explained earlier, some believe that the reason why the Illuminati had infiltrated Freemasonry was to infiltrate back into these monarchs that had expelled over 30 nations the Jesuit order, and that the Jesuit order was trying to work its way back into these monarchs, which ultimately led to the French Revolutionary War and these offshoot groups like the Jacobins Club and the League of Outlaws, which both Karl Marx and Engels were members of. So when we're talking about communism, socialism, this globalist agenda for a world governmental system, once you understand the network, the next question is, why do they want a one world government? Why do they want a new world order? To understand that, you have to get into the ideological and religious beliefs of these individuals. I spent about a decade or more looking at, tracing back. I started off doing research into mono and polytheistic cultural progression, what's known as the ancient mystery schools of antiquity, which then I started noticing had been incorporated into most of the secret societies that existed throughout history, like Freemasonry, the Rosicrucian Order, and several of these other secret societies. And what I found was in researching their literature, because believe it or not, they do put a lot of their stuff out there, that they want to create a world governmental system to usher in their Messiah. Christians know him as the Antichrist. Buddhists refer to him as Buddha. Hindus refer to him as Vishnu Krishna. Each religious culture has their own viewpoint on their Messiah figure. This figure that they want to usher in represents a counterfeit version of all of those combined. And to do that, they feel that they need to prepare the world for his arrival. In Theosophy, they refer to him as, I'm spacing out. What is the name that they give him? In Islam, it's Mahdi, but in Theosophy, it's the, I'll have to think of it. I'm spacing out here, guys. Too much information. But basically, that's where this whole doctrine of illumination and enlightenment, the Illuminati was called the Illuminati because, or the Perfectibilists, because they believe that they are illuminated or enlightened by this light, this Luciferian light. And this is why a lot of people talk about the globalist elite being Satanist or Luciferian, because once you study the doctrines that they practice, you begin to realize that they really are Satanists. They really are Luciferian, and they are trying to usher in their Messiah to rule over this world governmental system. And this gets into the biblical side of it, of this, because in Scripture, Satan is called a counterfeiter. So just as God has his kingdom, and over which his son, Jesus Christ, reigns, the counterfeiter seeks to create a counterfeit world governmental system over which the Antichrist, his son, will reign. So that's the gist of really why these people want a world governmental system. They want to lock down the system. They're creating a grid system, a matrix system, so that you can't buy, sell, or trade unless you receive the mark of the beast. And this pandemic is being used to roll that out and facilitate a shift to the Great Reset, which will move everyone in that direction, basically.
Well, can you guys hear me, by the way? Because I can hear you all now.
I can hear you now.
Well, awesome. So the satanic people, first of all, are like Aleister Crowley and the likes. I found this guy when I was looking for documents about like ancient Atlantis, and I found like the most compelling, interesting thing I'd ever read. And then I was like, who wrote this? And I look, and it's Aleister Crowley. I was like, oh my goodness, that's interesting. I just heard about him as like a Satanist and almost thought he was like a crackpot or whatever. But by the way, my favorite guitarist ever, Jimmy Page, was obsessed with him. He bought his mansion and lived there. Like he worshipped black magic and stuff like that. I've sadly learned, but like many of the movers and shit. So Satanism, from what I understand, and Jake, tell me if I'm on near the mark on this. It's basically like Crowley said, he was raised in a religious family to read the Bible, and he was compelled by it. It's just he was compelled by Satan. He related to Satan, the character of Lucifer or whatever, like the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Like he's like, if there is an almighty God or whatever of the Bible, fuck him. I'm against him. I'm against his nature, his love, his order, all that. I'm here to turn it upside down and create chaos the whole time and take every last person I can with me. And like,
Right.
And he became a desperate, degenerate drug addict too, by the way. Again,
Well, Crowley, yeah, he called himself the B666. He also stated that the demons that he was summoning, that he worshipped Lucifer. And you have to understand that this whole idea of Lucifer and Satan being one and the same, there's actually some misconceptions with that.
Right.
But basically, these people refer to themselves as Luciferian, but they really practice these ancient Babylonian mystery schools. That's why earlier I had you guys pull up that picture with the Tower of Babel. They believe they are bringing together. So the story is that when God scattered the people that were building the Tower of Babel, that they confused their languages. And so they see it as them bringing the nations and the peoples back together. So instead of it being many voices, one tongue, as it would have been in the time of the Tower of Babel, it's many tongues, one voice. They're regathering the nations back together. The European Parliament building is a reconstruction of the Tower of Babel. And that's why if you look at that picture, it's got the 11 stars, inverted stars upside down. They're inverted in the shape of an eye. And they've got a scaffolding coming out of the Tower of Babel, showing that they're rebuilding it. And then in the lower left corner, everyone has blockheads except for the small child to symbolize that the child hasn't been indoctrinated into the New World Order yet.
Interesting. So the Tower of Babel was the same thing, New World Order. And
New World Order, yeah.
You know, it's the same old thing. It's not an allegory either. They were trying to build a tower to break through the firmament, from what I would propose, right? Like they were trying to break through to get into heaven, because Satan has been trying. They believe that Satan got beat last time by God. They believe they know these religious documents better than anybody, and they study like all of them. Like they know like
They do.
Christianity, they know the Bible, they know the Indian. You wouldn't believe how intelligent these guys are. In fact,
They
I
are
caution
very
anybody to start reading them. Like maybe don't.
Not very
Even if
wise, but very intelligent.
Very discerning. Yeah, exactly. They have no wisdom or no They just
Very,
lost
very
it.
educated. I've read a lot of their
Yeah.
literature, and it actually blows me away reading what their and how they work things around in their literature to
Yeah,
paint
for
it in a different way. They're math manipulators. Crowley was.
So with that, brother,
Crowley was, and I believe that it has something to do with demonic possession. I think that they're receiving this information, but
that's what
Crowley
he
was.
He
Crowley
drew that
was-
lamb. Remember?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, the little green alien.
he drew
It's
a
like a
picture of
little-
lamb that looks exactly like a stereotypical alien.
He was roommates with L. Ron Hubbard in college. I think I was telling you that earlier. He actually later L. Ron Hubbard later married Aleister Crowley's ex-girlfriend, and they were both associated in Theosophy. And H.P. Blavatsky, she was heavily involved in the occult, and they believed that so they were heavily involved in demonic rituals, summoning demonic spirits, but to get a following, because you can't just come out and be like, we're Satanists, everybody come in here, you can't tell them what's going on, right? So they presented it as channeling ascended masters
Right.
that would take on an extraterrestrial form. And so you have all these theosophists that believe they're channeling these ascended masters from far off planets, that these extraterrestrials, when really what it is the phenomenon is demonic. It's not a coincidence that all three of these groups were interconnected, and all three of them, L. Ron Hubbard went on to form Scientology, that at the core of their religious practices is channeling these demonic spirits and saying that they are beings of light, they are, ascended masters and whatnot. So I believe it ties into what Scripture refers to as the great deception or the strong delusion. That in the last days, that the entire world would be deceived. I think that what they're trying to do is convince mankind that we were seated on earth by extraterrestrials instead of by God. And I think that the whole ancient aliens propaganda that we're seeing, remember I was telling you that I used to debate two of the guys that are on that show for almost a year.
What's their names, by the way? I forget the
I
blonde guy's name.
forget their names. The one guy's got blonde hair. The other,
Blonde hair, one of the most mainstays. You girls would know him. What's his name? David Childers, maybe, or something? No, that guy actually is. I don't think he seems that bad.
the guy that they actually all look up to, the one that wrote the Chariots of the Gods.
Yeah.
Spacing his name.
Eric von Daniken.
Yes, he was a Jesuit.
Do
you see how-
yeah.
So the
It's
Jesuit order and these Jewish black nobility families that Carol Quigley referred to as round table groups is really the ones at the top. You have these 10 to 12 families that basically oversee everything, but you never hear about them.
Exactly.
The Jesuit order and these black nobility banking families are the ones who are really facilitating all this and moving the world in this direction. And it really is, once you read their literature, and they're open about it.
Exactly. So I was just saying, just go read them yourself, people, and if you're not convinced, okay.
It really is about ushering in their Messiah, their Moshiach.
Yeah.
And so you have kind of this unholy union between the Vatican and these Jewish banking families, the Rothschilds, the Warburgs, the Morgans. And they work together because it's counterfeit at its core. In Scripture, it talks about, in Ezekiel, it talks about the two sticks being grafted into one. And so what they're trying to do is they have a counterfeit. The devil knows that the best way to deceive people is to infiltrate and subvert.
Infiltration rather than invasion.
And if God has his people, his elect, chosen, faithful, whatever you want to call them, 144,000, it's referred to many different things, then the counterfeiter would also seek to infiltrate and subvert through God's people to recruit them over to his side, create a counterfeit system that would usher in their counterfeit Antichrist in the last days. And so when you're reading their literature, they're pretty open about what has to happen in order for that to happen. I'll link something here later, but Alice Bailey, who took over for Blavatsky, the Theosophical Society, once Blavatsky passed away.
Or whatever the fuck happened to the other bitch. Fuck you.
She wrote several books talking about the externalization of the hierarchy, that in the latter phase of this, they would begin to reveal themselves and how this network operates, and that in order for them to create this new world order, there had to be a time of destruction, a crisis that would leave humanity greatly shattered.
Begging
and then
for
after
protection and solution.
and then they would rebuild after that. And so that's what we're moving into right now.
Problem, reaction, solution, right?
By the time they're done with what they're going to do, humanity will be greatly shattered. There's going to be wars all over the place, famine, disease. People are going to be starving. We're moving into a time when the global financial system is going to crash. They don't care because they're shifting all of that money over to the new system. We're going to all go bankrupt, and they're going to become. They're already hyper wealthy. They're going to
bankrupt us to take further percentages of the market, and the market means resources, basically, more or less. So they not only do it to make us impoverished, they're planning at the same time. Once we become impoverished and we lose our shares or whatever it may be that we just lost, they're right there to sweep them all up for pennies on the dollar.
Right.
Yeah? So that's how Rothschild got his like main wealth. What really like became like influential on a national level, like in Battle of Waterloo, I believe.
They're doing it all over again now.
Yeah, they're doing it right now. That's what you and I like. Exactly. Now it's digital. And it's fiat currency. Dude, they did it with the Federal Reserve when they got rid of the gold standard and they could just print money. Like digital currency, there's nothing valuable backing that up, right? Correct? I mean, nothing of intrinsic value.
No, we came off the gold standard a long time ago. That's why they're calling XRP digital gold.
Exactly.
Because
that's exactly what it is.
It's going to be the oil of this new economy. All currencies will run on it. They're going to pay gate it through PayID, which used to be known as Global ID. And that's the company that's being developed by Accenture, which is directly involved with ID 2020, which was the company that developed the quantum dot tattoo. So the pandemic is very important to facilitate all this, because without the pandemic, they can't get people to take the vaccine.
Yeah, the vaccine's everything.
And they need the people to get the vaccine to give them a certificate of vaccination to be able to
track them forever and monitor everything they do and give them a social credit score and control their finances through that. Like that chip, once that gets into you, you're done.
The social credit score is so much more of a threat too with the pandemic, because before there wasn't so much of a divide, but now it's like literally you have people who are covering their faces and people who aren't.
I think I just froze. Can you guys hear me?
I hear you now.
Yeah.
I guess they did
for a second there.
Yeah, they must not like what I was saying there. But
let's say it again. What were you saying at the end? They're not going to stop us.
That they're just basically using this pandemic to be able to issue this vaccine so they can give a certificate of vaccination to link up to a social credit score. All of our metadata has been stored for this purpose. You each have a social credit score. Most people, but the difference is that in China there's 200 million cameras looking at everybody. They just came out with a report yesterday or the day before saying that there's more CCTVs in the United States per capita for each person than anywhere else in the world. So they're storing our metadata. This is why they've been stealing all of our information.
Studying us.
Yeah, they're profiling us, and they know who will go along with the system and who won't.
They already know.
And in New York, they were giving people the vaccine and giving them their social credit score. Good job, buddy. You got the vaccine. You got a high credit. You got a high social credit score. But literally, what this really is if you don't go along with the system, you will not be able to buy, sell, or trade. Just as scripture warns.
You're going to get starved out. That's the bottom line of that. Like, there's no way to survive that. Especially if you're not prepared and seeing it coming. But
so you're either going to go along with their new world order, or you're not, and
slowly and surely.
Basically, you're not going to be able to eat because they're going to control and own everything.
Exactly, and that's what the new world order with World War III is supposed to be. Such destruction and chaos and everything from the world that we need to offer our submission. They're offering us the solution, so you guys asked for it. Yeah, you
Yeah,
want
they
to support
create the problem, they create the crisis.
problem, reaction, solution.
They have a reaction that they want from the public, and then they offer them one of two solutions. Either one you pick moves society in the direction of a
They're
world
agreeing
government.
with it. Yeah, that's Hegelian dialectics as well, right?
Hmm.
Problem, reaction, solution.
That's
Order out of
David
chaos.
Icke's version of the Hegelian dialectic.
Cool.
You got to give him credit. He was
I love
pretty
him.
smart. Me
Way
and him did a lot of the same research, and I mean, when you're reading these guys' literature and they're talking about the creation of these crises and
Yeah, dude, they tell you what they're
creating
doing. It's so blatantly clear.
and then using it to move society in the direction that they want, and we fall for it every time. It's so
Because people
frustrating to
won't read
me.
these writings. People will not
Mhm.
read their writings. Like they will not. I'm like, dude, I don't want to tell you this. I don't want to believe it to be true. Go read it and tell me you're not convinced. Let me read this quote. Dude, I think you're gonna dig this, but you probably already know it. But shit. Of course, my phone's dead. No, nice. Just frozen. I definitely know this, but like this, when I read this quote, when I came across like the 20s, everything made sense after this. In order to put public opinion into our hands, we must bring it into a state of bewilderment by giving expression from all sides to so many contradictory opinions for such length of time as will suffice to make the average person lose their heads in the labyrinth and come to see that the best thing is to have no opinion of any kind in matters political. That sums up my whole fucking generation. Nobody's wants to get involved in politics. Like they just, it all stinks. We're all out. And I mean, me too. I was guilty of that. But after reading this, I realized that was an agenda that they did on us. Because this is a document they found from like 1905. But well over 100 years ago, they were working this shit at us.
I feel like
It's
they
time
have
evidence
us.
success goes back to Egypt. Go ahead, Mel.
I was gonna say I feel like they have us from all angles because if you don't get involved, then you're not going to. Then you're being compliant. But if you
Can
do
you hear
get
me?
involved, yeah,
Yeah, we got you back.
Yeah,
So
I keep losing you guys, but
it's okay.
I know the
It's
quote you're
just-
talking about.
Yeah, so it's like if you don't get involved, then you're being compliant and you're being complicit and you're pretty much responsible for the reason that it's being allowed to happen. But if you do get involved, then it feeds and fuels, unless you have like mastery of your own emotions and like, you know what I mean? But the programming is so intense that like we get sucked into this like anger and hatred and division. And I mean, it makes sense because it's like we're watching people lead us to slaughter unknowingly.
So you have to become flippantly laughing about it and just maybe do something like start a podcast with your friends and just get out of here and be like, fuck the New World Order, it does exist.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yes, it's cool because like you want to enjoy the time you have, but like at the end of the day, I'm just making the point that like, you know, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Not that I'm saying like we're damned. Like I have a little more of an optimistic look at
No, it's
that,
bad. You're right.
they have
You're being
us.
real.
They're really trying to like checkmate us because it's like whatever way you try to go, if you try to be political, then you're gonna contribute to the division. Like, you know, I come across a lot of people like working that have very different opinions from me, and it's always really nice when we can just kind of like look past the differences and connect anyway, because it's like that you know, that feels good. It's like that's being human. But at the same time, like you can't comply with this shit. You can't go along with it because
Well, once you realize what's going on,
lead us?
like the real sorry,
What?
I think I was cutting you off there. I saw your mouth moving when I didn't hear any sound.
Did you guys
Go
hear
on.
me?
Did
Other
I
than
cut
me?
you off, Mel? Yeah. Continue.
I that was pretty much my point. But did you guys hear me? Like Jake, Michelle? Did you
Yeah.
hear
Yeah,
me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Still the very, very end.
I want to read a quote to you real quick. This is from Alice Bailey. She states, "The New World Order must meet the immediate need and not be an attempt to satisfy some distant idealistic vision. The New World Order must be appropriate to a world which has passed through a destructive crisis and to a humanity which is badly shattered by the experience. The New World Order must lay the foundation for a future world order which will be possible only after a time of recovery, of reconstruction, and of rebuilding. In the preparatory period for the New World Order, there will be a steady and regulated disarmament. It will not be optional. No nation will be permitted to produce or organize any equipment for destructive purposes or to infringe the security of any other nation. The New World Order must be appropriate to a world which has passed through a destructive crisis. We are concerned with only one subject, the ushering in of a new world order. The present world order, which is today largely disorder, can be so modified and changed that the new world order and a new race of men can gradually come into being. Reunification and the use of the sacrificial should be the keynote for the interim period after the war. She's talking about World War II here.
Did you say a new race? Real quick, I need to make sure I
Yeah.
got it right. Wow.
Mhm.
Okay, go on.
Prior to the inauguration of the New Age. So this the whole idea of the New Age. Remember when I told you that these individuals believe that they are illuminated or enlightened by Lucifer? So in the New Age movement, the New Age movement was started by the New Age Theosophical Society, which helps kickstart the New Age hippie movement. And so when in the New Age movement, in Theosophy, they often talk about illumination or enlightenment, right? The same as these globalists believe that they're illuminated or enlightened through the mysteries.
Light workers is a term I hear a lot. Have you ever heard that?
The
Probably with
Kundalini,
young people nowadays.
the serpent that goes up the 7 chakras to the third eye. All these ancient cultures were into serpent worship, whether in the Aztec it was Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. In Egypt it was the cobra that came out the third eye. In Hinduism it's that dot on their forehead.
In America today, it's the medical establishment right on their freaking logo.
Right, and so this really represents the all-seeing eye represents the illumination or enlightenment. They believe that through this illumination or enlightenment that they can become divine, and that they can become like God. Right.
It's
And
the tree of knowledge of good and evil, correct?
It's the same story that Satan told Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. If you eat of this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you will be like God.
The one tree that God told you not to eat of.
And so the idea is that if you don't need a savior, if you don't need a Messiah, you on your own can become illuminated or enlightened, and transcend the physical, becoming
Light energy.
God.
Literally.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's why the New Age movement. See, the New Age Theosophical Society was directly linked up with Freemasonry. Blavatsky was married to a 33rd degree Freemason. Two of the main individuals that founded that organization were also 33rd degree Masons. And so you see this unholy union between the Jesuit order, the black nobility, Jewish banking families, and Freemasonry. Freemasonry basically acts as a way for them to recruit from all different religions, all different institutions, because they needed a way to be able to control all these different organizations, religious institutions, and whatnot. The Jesuit order does.
Is there
Yeah,
is there any truth to the? I'm quite certain there is some truth to this, that the 33rd degree, and this doesn't happen for all of them. Some 33rd degree Masons are deemed useful idiots. That's their words, not mine. But so they would not be enlightened to this secret. But many of them who pass the right test or whatever and are not useful idiots, they're the initiate. They're revealed to them that once they get to the highest degree, 33, that the God that they had to take a condition to, the only condition to join Freemasonry is that you have to believe in some sort of higher power, however you see fit. Like, that's it. When you initially enter, that's the only requirement.
Right. It's not until the 32nd degree that you're basically laid into a casket, or there's it's basically the 32nd degree. They tell you that the seething energies of Lucifer pass through you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you see this same ritual in organizations like the Skull and Bones Society, which was known as the Thule Society.
Which is George Bush Sr. and Jr. all over it.
Right, and Hitler was a member of that organization. But Hitler, this is interesting because Hitler was also involved with the Theosophical Society. He was reading a lot of Blavatsky's literature. This is where the whole idea of the Aryan white race, the Aryan race came from, is because Blavatsky wrote a book called The Five Root Races, and she stated that the first of those races was the Aryan race. So Hitler believed that the Germans were this Aryan root race.
Pure, the most pure, right?
Yeah, so because he was reading her literature, this is why you hear so much about occultism with Himmler and the
Himmler
SS.
yeah, he was looking for all kinds of shit. He's searching the world, plundering, looking for God knows what kind of magical things.
And because that ties into theosophy, you have socialism, communism with Marx and Engels and the League of Outlaws. All these individuals were running in a small circle. And the guy who was the guru that was putting out the pamphlet Astara that Hitler was reading while he was in prison was the guy who was the guru to the president. I can't remember which president it was, that was basically telling him what to put on the dollar bill for the and that's how they came up with the idea for the.
Oh yeah, I know. I don't want to say
All-seeing eye on
which
the
one it is,
dollar.
but yeah. It was maybe like Woodrow Wilson, or no, he wasn't him, but like I know what you're saying. Like it was one of those
Mm-hmm.
suggested by one of those presidents in that early, maybe 1800s or 1800s. I don't know, but yeah, I know where you're going. So that's why I brought up the Constitution before, because I feel like every other, all their types of governments, order, are all total communism, enslavement. You have no choice in the matter. Like every last one of them is like, fuck you, you have no rights. The state tells you what to do. I feel like the Constitution, in many ways, like you said, it was also, there's some weird ways with like the Freemasons also being involved in founding this country. But okay, so this might be weird, but Thomas Jefferson is made out to be like a bastard slave owner, and he impregnated a slave, and he had a bunch of bastard kids and all that. That may or may not be true, to my knowlige. But
He was involved with the Illuminati also.
correct, exactly. So that's what compels me, because he also lived his life by what I can tell, what he called the I don't know, the law of Jesus or something. And he went through the Bible, the oldest interpretations, like 6 different languages, Hebrew and others. He uses his exact words, and he pastes it in one book, and that's what he lived his life by, allegedly. I've seen a copy of it, like photocopied, but it's really cool. Anyways, he's said to have been like the guy that was tasked with actually writing. He was a wordsmith, you can tell. Like the other guys were like, what we're trying to say, like, go bedazzle him, bro. Write it up. And if you read that document, it's fantastic. It's frankly like, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal with life, liberty, what I mean? It's just like, oh my goodness, how can you deny what he's compelling there? So that makes me wonder, like, the fact he's so bastardized in history class, maybe he's like a saint, just like Tesla. They never taught us about Tesla at all. They make him out to be like some fucking lunatic bum. It's like, well, I started looking into Tesla, and Tesla's like almost single-handedly responsible for the 20th century technology and probably beyond that. And the only reason he doesn't get credit for it is because he was trying to preserve it and hide it from them, from turning it into what they turned it into since he's been dead. Like,
At the time, during the Enlightenment movement in France and in Europe, you had certain philosophers that were promoting this idea. The Illuminati was one of them. Weishaupt was an ex-Jesuit priest. So when Jefferson and Washington, I think I posted on Quora the letter where Washington's talking about the Illuminati, and that he believed that the Jacobins Club had infiltrated into the United States and had created the democratic societies to separate the people from their government.
wow.
And so these views that they had really were based on the Enlightenment movement, which were in a way poetic, and so they had to make it that way to bring on a lot of people. And there was issues with the ideas. There was 2 camps. You had the one camp. You had Frederick Bastiat. He wrote The Law, and that, if you ever get a chance, you need to read Frederick Bastiat's The Law, because it completely destroys the idea of communism and socialism.
I will do that right away, dude. Right away. Thank you.
They used communism or socialism. They really want communism and socialism because they want a top-down system of government that they control.
It's a Trojan horse for New World Order. That's all that is. Socialism is a Trojan horse for communism, which is a Trojan horse for New World Order. That's all it is, I think, right?
Yeah, they want to control all the nations, but in order to do that, they have to have a top-down system of government that gives them control unilaterally amongst all nations. And capitalism was useful for a while, but now they're at the point where we are in the way. You can't have half the world eating beans and rice with a shining city on the hill where everybody's living the high life. So they have to get rid of capitalism. America is in the way, basically.
Oh, yeah.
It's in the way for their...
And the Constitution's in the way of them getting rid of America. And the guns that it guarantees us are in the way too. And they know it. That's why they're subverting us. That's why they're infiltrating us. You can't invade us. Come, Joe Biden, you want to take my guns? Come and get them, bro. Make my day. Let's go.
That's why they wanted everyone to register their firearms, because if you register your firearms, I got friends that tell me all the time, they're like, well, they're not going to get my guns. They can come knock on my door. They ain't getting my guns. And I tell them, that's not how they're going to do this.
Yeah, are you registered, bro? They're going to just no, I'm saying, that's what I'm saying to your friends.
I thought you were asking me. I'm like, no.
Here's the man. I can tell you weren't by how you were flipping about it. Like, no, that's not how they're going to come and get them. They're just going to fucking make you register. And if you don't, you're not going to. They know who has, if you register your firearm, they know who have them and what they're going to do. They know how many you have. Exactly. Dude, I'm not telling the government my fucking defense. What? No way. Guys, you want to come find out? Let's go. Like, they'll give you 90 days to turn it in. And if you don't turn it in, then they're going to fine you. And if you say, screw that, I'm not paying this fine. Then they'll jail you.
then they're going to garnish your paycheck. You're already going to have a hard enough time if you're not getting the vaccine. But now, if you've got guns that are registered and you're not turning them in, you're going to be fined. They're going to begin to garnish your paycheck. And sooner or later, you're going to have to decide between feeding your family and
Or
keeping
giving up
your
your
guns.
Yeah. Well, how do we, dude? So what's like the best way? Obviously, this system's collapsing, man, and maybe that's a good thing in some ways. I'm just trying not to scare people. I'm trying to like heal this world somehow, some way. We need to start coming up with like active resistance, and I think that comes through just exposing their agenda. And like once people are aware of what they're doing, they won't be able to do it anymore. Because that's why they live behind their castle walls and stuff. Because they're fucking little bitches, pussies that would never do this to some dude's face. They can't even let the world know they exist because we would all just go cut their heads off. It'd be no problem. But
I look at this from so I'm half Jewish, but I'm Christian, so I'm what's called a Messianic Jew, if you will.
Is that a goy? Are you considered a goy by the?
They would consider me a goy. Yeah.
Welcome to the club, bro.
But from the scriptural perspective, it basically states that these things that occur in the last days, that God puts it in their heart to do these things, that they will be of one mind and one purpose concerning this thing in order to fulfill God's will. And so this unholy union believe that, that they're ushering in their Messiah. They have no idea that in rebuilding the third temple, that scripture is clear that in the last 7 years of that 7-year tribulation begins, once the temple begins to be rebuilt, and halfway through, the Antichrist sets himself in the temple and proclaims himself to be God. And so the Bible states that the only way for people to avoid this judgment that comes upon the nations is for a nation to turn back from its sinful ways, to repent, and to turn back towards God, and that he will heal the land and heal the people. If they don't, he will use the nations amongst one another to judge the people. And so really what we've seen is we've given all this power over to the elite and to politicians that have become so corrupt that we're at a stage now that if the people don't begin turning back to God and repenting, that there's really no way out of this. We can't rise up as a people and fight this. It's the cancer is too far gone. It's systemic at this point. It's global. And even if we could rise up here, the way they have this, it's like a barb. Everything that they put in place
further as you resist.
Yeah, once it goes in real easy, but once you try to pull it out, it creates much more damage. It's kind of like trying.
This is what has always compelled me about you since I've met you, and I've been trying to figure it out. Are you? I don't even know the right term. Maybe a Taoist, or what would you describe your approach as? Maybe.
To dealing with the globalist elite and what they're doing.
Just
or
dealing with it in the world, or resisting, or whatever you would like. It doesn't sound like you would want to use the term resisting, correct?
From my beliefs, Scripture is very clear on this. It basically tells you to expose the darkness, and that in exposing the darkness, many people wake up to what is happening, wake up to the truth, and they put their faith in Christ. Now, I understand some people have different religious views. Melanie is Buddhist and whatnot, but from researching their literature and understanding why they are doing what they're doing is what helped me to become so
believing in God,
devout in my religious beliefs. Because it's one thing to believe in God, but when you see the devil, you really start believing. Does that make sense?
I totally
totally
agree. Oh my God, you said it well.
And that's the thing too, is just to be clear on that, like as a Buddhist, like I don't reject pretty much anything within Christianity. Like to me, it's like truth is truth, and anything that embodies truth and goodness and light is like I see that they're working completely against that, and
right.
It's anything.
We're all
that
on the
is
same team, dude.
with
I'm telling
me
you, I know
for
both you
that
pretty
common
well.
goal.
Like,
It's
there's a lot more
one
common
God,
than
you know what I mean? But I
They
agree with
want they want to create not just a world governmental system, but they want to unite the world's religions. This is why the Pope, over the last 2 years, has been bringing together the religious leaders around the world, the head of Islam, the head of the Jewish synagogue.
Religion, dude. It's part of New World Order.
Actually, I really want to mention this because it's interesting you say that. Something I've been talking about a little bit, like on my Instagram, is I've been talking about how world leaders not like world leaders, but like the religious leaders, they're all like, I mean, and it's obvious that people like you and me, like we know it's all controlled, but a lot of people don't realize that these religious figures are some of the most useful puppets that there are, and that even goes into Buddhism. Like this was before Corona. I was just looking up vaccine exemptions for Buddhists because I was curious what there was on that, and I mean, I think it's kind of insane that you need to have any religious beliefs on your own ground.
You don't
think that like get an exemption for something, like just what I mean. Like I don't even think
you
should
don't.
have
Don't
to
let them ever
have any
convince us that we do.
religious belief
We
to
don't
have
need
that
that.
say over your own body and that autonomy. But the point is that I looked this up because I wanted to know if I had an exemption that I could go to for my personal religion, and it actually. The first article that came up was talking about how the Dalai Lama like participated in some Bill Gates bullshit like a few years back, and I'm just
Sadly,
of course. So
I have Indian friends who have
yeah.
broken my reality about a lot of that kind of stuff. They're like, that's not a good dude. You know what I mean? Like the guy, he's almost opposite the way he's.
It really kills me. Like it really does. But.
Well, I was telling Nick that there's the two sides. You have the Jesuit order side and you have the Jewish side. But
Black nobility, you said it's right? Black Jewish nobility, did you say? Because I've heard that term before.
Black nobility, yeah.
Okay.
And really, you have two groups inside of Judaism that are working together, but they seem as if they're working against each other. One is more secular, and that is your German Jew like Klaus Schwab or George Soros.
Okay.
And then you have those that are involved with Chabad Lubavitch, like Zuckerberg, or like Steve Mnuchin, who's the great-great-grandson of the founder of Lubavitch, or Christine Lagarde, who's the head of the International Monetary Fund. Bill Gates is also associated with Lubavitch. I don't know how closely he's tied in with Lubavitch, but it sounds to me, because of what's going on with the Great Reset, if you look at the individuals who, it's like I was telling you, Klaus Schwab was meeting with the head of Lubavitch on 9/11 when the two planes hit. He was outside having breakfast with them on the front porch. While
how fateful a day is this for us, my friend? What a treat this morning! What a show!
So, and if you look into what Chabad Lubavitch believe, is they believe that they need to rebuild the third temple in Israel, and that in order to do that, they have to prepare the world for the coming of their Moshiach. And some of them believe that Schneerson, one of their rabbis, they believe that he was the Messiah. Now there's a division there, but ultimately they want to rebuild the third temple in Israel, and they're
Third
using.
Reich, is that kind of similar?
Mm-hmm.
One and the same, or the Third Reich? Is that related, or is that different? Third Temple talk? Is that different?
Well, there's some debate over whether or not the Bolsheviks. So the Bolsheviks, many believed, was primarily a Jewish organization that helped fund the war between Germany and Russia. Most of the leadership of the Bolsheviks movement were in fact Jewish. If you look at the numbers, it was like, I think, 1/4.
Right.
But
not Marx, but Lenin. Lenin was Jewish, I hear, and he was shipped there in a train that was blacked out, like to start instigating the Bolshevik Revolution. Yeah,
and he helped the war between the Mensheviks and the Bolsheviks on that whole thing. So, and the Bolsheviks were also responsible for the murder of the Tsar family, you know, Anastasia, that whole story. The Bolsheviks were involved in that. So when we're talking about a network of Jews, we're not talking about Judaism. This is not like I said,
right.
I'm a Christian Jew.
Yeah,
most Jews are not involved in this. There's about 16 to 17,000 people that make up the core of Chabad Lubavitch. There's about 1 million or so yearly that attend their services, but really it's a small core, a small network of individuals. It's just like people say, well, that's anti-Semitic. Well, it's no more anti-Christian to expose what's going on in the Vatican than it is to expose what's going on in false Judaism. And this goes really into...
That's the most like best cover they've ever created. Anti-Semitism. If you could call it an anti-Semite, like it stops everybody from ever even looking into this, because it's like, God forbid, like you could get that label and be I mean, that's like a red X, you know? That's like the
Right, and they had infiltrated into much of the Jesuit order through Frankist and Sabbatean doctrines. And the Sabbatean, that you should look into that because
I kind of have a little bit, but I would like to hear what you're about to say.
well, this whole idea of this we could do 10 shows on this. I could go on.
Okay, before you go on to that, I wanted to bring up something that I think is light. It weighs into the other show before, and you made me think of. You ever hear of the conspiracy theory flat Earth?
Yes.
We just discussed it in our most recent show, and it was kind of cool. Like the feedback we got from people and stuff. I don't want to speak for them, so maybe Michelle, because you've been conspicuously quiet, you can tell us your just slight opinion about it. And just know, Michelle, I tend to agree with very much of what you said. It's at least compelling. I'll say that.
So yeah, guys, I'm chilling here, quiet, playing with my dog, but I'm totally listening and following along.
I can tell you are, and that's why I want to work you in, girl. Let's go.
What was the question?
Where do you stand on globe or flat Earth?
I'm a flat earther. I've been a flat earther for a few years.
What's your most compelling reasons for that? Would you say, if you had to like make a couple key cases, what would be like the best?
I always end up sounding like a bimbo or dumb.
Okay, well let's speak for you and tell me if I'm wrong. Like, 'cause I'm not a flat earther necessarily, but I can agree to anything with good faith, and I know enough to know that like I don't believe a thing NASA says. I'll trust a flat earther just as much, if not more, than NASA. Because
that was a big one for me when I started researching flat Earth. The whole NASA thing and finding out that they had like wires and like
dude,
the pictures of space are fake. That was
they
a
make
big thing.
$64 million a day from taxpayers. NASA gets. It's the biggest fucking rock. They're rocking
And then
our
I
heads.
and then I saw a documentary. That was years ago. And then I saw a documentary on flat Earth that was like an hour, 2 hours long. That I don't know where it is anymore. I think they took it down on YouTube. But,
well, if you want to look into it like in a compelling way, what's his name? It'll come to me. Thomas. I'll find a link here. This guy's like he's NASA or ex-NASA. 30-some years old, maybe closer to 40, but completely so smart, a physicist and all that. And you can tell he's just pissed off. He's completely disillusioned with the fact that like. At least in his opinion, everything that they taught him is opposite the truth. The reason I ask is because the Bible says it's a flat, plane, stable, and it does not, and everything revolves around it, and it has a firmament and an ether. And Tesla believes in the firmament and ether, and I think he's like the smartest guy ever. So I just wanted to see what you had to say about it.
I think I've looked at it from both sides. I come from a bit of a physics background, but my cousin Dave is he's really big into the whole flat Earth thing. And he's been working on me for a few years, trying to show me the evidence of it in scripture and whatnot. And he's made some really compelling arguments. I've looked at it. I've tried to look at it from a physics perspective. The problem with a lot of the science that we're utilizing today, the physics and whatnot, is actually directly associated with the Kabbalah. With Zohar.
Bingo. Dude, you're a good guest. You're a good interview. You get where I'm going with this already. Go on.
So most of the scientists that have, whether we're talking about Newton or several of the scientists, the brightest minds.
Albert Einstein, I think it's
Einstein.
Right. No, you're getting at? Yeah.
All the most prominent physicists throughout history have studied the Kabbalah, and that's how they came to their conclusions on
alchemy,
physics,
heliocentric globe, universe, all that.
And the Kabbalah and Zohar. See, I don't attribute to the Kabbalah and Zohar, even though I've studied the doctrines of Kabbalism, because whether you're looking into Freemasonry or you're looking into the Frankist or Sabbatean doctrines, all of these mystery schools. It was during a time when the Jewish people were being held in captivity in Babylon and then later Egypt that they adopted the Babylonian mystery schools that they reorganized as the Kabbalah. It was reformed in the 12th century as the Zohar, and that's where we get the Kabbalah and Zohar today. But really, it's a form of mysticism. They were worshiping fallen angels and things like that. And I believe personally that the information that they were receiving, and many of the early Jewish scholars believe this also, that they were receiving that information from fallen angels.
Channeling even demonic fallen angels or whatever. Yeah.
Mathematics, all kinds of things, the art of war, all those different things. And this gets into the Nephilim and the whole extraterrestrial phenomenon. And
where's Zionism come up in this history of that?
Well, Zionism was basically needed to. They wanted to. It's about making. It's about creating their own state. They have to. They believe in order for their to bring their Messiah onto the world stage, they have to not only regather into Israel to fulfill prophecy, because in Scripture it talks about my people would be regathered from amongst the nations of the world, but for the rebuilding of the third temple. But in order to do that, they had to create the Jewish state, and so that's where the Zionists believe. But it also has to do with preparing the world for their Messiah, and in order to do that, they need to create a world governmental system from which their Messiah will rule over in the last days.
So they want their sovereignty so that they can take ours away. How about that?
Pretty
Is
much.
that in occult people? Is that the anti-occult motherfuckers that I read every day? That sums them up right there. They'll openly tell you they are above us. We are chattel. CHATTLE. Just or ATT. Yeah, cattle with the H in there. Chattel. That's the word they often use. I've heard. It's like
They believe that they believe that anyone who isn't Jewish is of
Some
the
species.
seed of Satan.
yeah. The
Nah,
Canaanites, right?
I don't want to say that because a lot of Jews don't think that way.
No,
It's
right.
but
These
that's
are the Kabbalists, right?
it's kind of like in Islam. You have the extreme fanatical views, and then you have the broader viewpoint. In Christianity, the same thing. In Judaism, you have the same thing.
Well, the Kabbalists would call those poor Jews useful idiots. They actually don't give a fuck. I've heard them use that term before. Like, it's atrocity, but that's what they do to people. Like, these real Jewish people, they are victims. Like, so that's why I hesitate to tell people, like, these kind of things. Just approach this with some, like, intellect people. Like, realize that, like, it's not as black and white as, like, fuck the Jews, or, you know, like, don't think like that. It's very complicated. It's intricate.
I come at it from the viewpoint that
Mel, I can't hear you, by the way. I hear you
we
talking.
have.
I
Oh,
see
Melanie, were you talking, Melanie?
No,
I see your
I
lips
just
moving, but-
when he said that comment about the Jews, I was just like, oh, the YouTube algorithms definitely their ears just perked up. Someone said that.
Yeah.
Guys, can I cut in real
CIA
quick?
has entered the chat.
Sure.
Guys, I just want to cut in real quick. Shout out to everybody on Phil. We have 41 viewers, guys, and one
Dude,
of
that's
them,
my fucking place, yo.
one
Phil
of them,
Donnelly.
you guys are awesome. One of you said Merry Christmas. I said Merry Christmas back.
Feliz
So
Navidad. Right, Michelle?
Yes.
Feliz Navidad.
I'm drinking my Christmas juice right here, guys.
Dude, you know what?
Oh, see, I ran out of mine. I'm
I'm about to drink my Christmas juice too. It's a little different than what you guys are drinking. It's realizing nobody's on YouTube anyways, but like the fact that we're getting repped on Pill.net, I can be myself here, so I'm taking my Christmas juice as well. You know,
It's pretty cool that there's.
So I want to be clear. I don't want to create any type of hatred towards Jews, because I think it's important that we separate, the Christian body and the Jewish body from these elite that basically they're neither Christian nor Jew
right.
nor Islam. They basically will infiltrate and subvert any organization, any religious organization, any government that they need to basically take control. And they practice these satanic or Luciferian doctrines that date all the way back to Babylon. And that's why I was having you guys look at the Tower of Babel, to see how the European Parliament was built to look like the
That's
Tower of
fascinating.
Babel.
I can't believe they have the moniker just posted on. I mean, I totally can, but like, it's just people are not waking up to this stuff. It's like they do it right in our face. They laugh at it. What do you know about CERN, man? I don't know why I feel like asking you about that right now, but something's telling me to ask.
Well, CERN, out the front of CERN, they've got the
Armed what figure is that?
Krishna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so there's been some speculation that by them using that collider, that they could actually create small black holes.
Yes.
And they've been tearing apart these atoms to try and understand the molecular makeup, the atomic makeup.
They're looking for the God particle. They claim. They even say it.
Right. The was it the boson? How do you say it?
It was the boson. Now there's another one. They're always looking for the God particle. You know what they're looking for? They're just smashing shit together as hard as they can to see the chaos they can create out of God's order.
Well, this gets into quantum computing and deep learning artificial intelligence. The whole reason why they want these technologies that they're developing, 5G, they're not in a bubble. They're all to work together, because you need an artificial intelligence that is smart enough to ask the difficult questions to a quantum computer that scientists, a team of scientists, would take them decades or even hundreds of years
It would be
to
feasible.
formulate.
You have to do it in real time to be able to control people in any practical way.
And then you have to have an intelligence, an artificial intelligence that's smart enough to understand the answer that it gets back.
And then interpret it and use it accordingly. And it's just quantum. Can you put into perspective what quantum computing means compared to the fastest computer we even have now that's not quantum? Like quantum is like they're doing things on levels like it's just insane.
So quantum computing basically takes a binary system. The computers that
Which means 0, 1, 0, 1, like a bunch of those streams, right?
Right.
Binary? Okay.
And so through quantum computing, they use the qubit, which basically, instead of there being one path for each qubit, I believe there's 16 different paths that they can utilize. So depending on how many qubits they can link up into a quantum computer, they can...
the throughput is at least 16 times higher is like off the bat. And then if they start linking them up, it's like...
Yeah, years ago, I think it was like 2 years ago, they were able to... They could viably hack SHA-256, which is the algorithm that blockchain uses, Bitcoin and other blockchains use within like 24 hours. So by now,
there's nothing that can be encrypted anymore that they can't solve like almost instantaneously. I heard. Like,
yeah, and that's why they're wanting to roll out the quantum internet. That's basically
why. So they can pretend that it's encrypted, but really they have the back door, or what do you say?
They want everybody holding a quantum computer in their hand. Basically,
so
you're asking it whatever you want, and they're using deep learning. See, I helped break a story a couple years back on deep learning artificial intelligence. It was developed by the European Commission, and you had people like George Soros that were funding it. They were developing machine learning through open source software that was then given to Google, which Google in 2015 developed into the deep learning artificial intelligence we have today. They gave that to the world for free as open source software. Now
for free, so
everybody's using it. We're being analyzed right now by deep learning artificial intelligence. Your camera, when you see
we don't even know.
I got my poker face on. So.
You got your poker face on.
That's what's up. That's the spirit.
So
my asshole from there. I hope you got a nice view, guys.
The problem that they have with quantum computing is the way that the information is loaded into the qubit. There's basically two doors, and it has to be observed. And if you look at it from the wrong door,
we were just talking about this on the last bit. This is crazy. Synchronistic beyond.
Well, this gets into string theory. This gets into
Schrodinger's cat,
the multiverse. Yeah.
All of it.
So
love it.
Remember when I was telling you about the multiverse? The whole idea was that what they were finding was that mathematically, our universe, the very laws of nature, are based upon the golden mean, phi 1.618.
Yes.
And the only way to dispel intelligent design was to come up with a multiverse theory that basically states that we are the needle in the haystack.
Yeah, we're the one random occurrence out of all the possible outcomes that would occur. We're experiencing that. Again, just random nothingness, not significant or important at all. Just like the global heliocentric model makes it out to be, frankly. And I find that interesting too. It's not special or anything. It's just you're just a random occurrence that just happened. But when you think of all the things that had to come, there's a lot of atheists, like declared atheists that were physicists in the 70s and stuff that were saying we were going to find life on Earth, on other planets sooner than there was equations for it. A lot of them are known for failing, and many of them by the end of their lives started saying the fact that it's so void of any sign of life yet out there is almost compelling to my atheist self to like think something else going on here, something unique, like with Earth circumstances. It's like weird.
Yeah, the problem they found with the multiverse is that they found in the scalar and vector fields in the quantum world, they found this ratio of 1.618. It's the only constant. It's one of the only constants. So if the multiverse, if our quantum world, the glue that makes up our quantum world is based on this ratio of the golden mean, phi 1.618, then that means if all of these multiverses are also involved with the quantum world, then they're also subject to the same glue that makes up our universe, which means that it proves, in my mind, intelligent design. And that's if you can prove that there are multiple universes. So that's just a theory.
Who's proved that, by the way, because it's never been experienced or observed or anything like that, multiverses. Neither has gravity, frankly, as Tesla said. Tesla said, in Tesla's view of reality, he thought Einstein was a terrible man, like for what he does. He's a wonderful mathematician. And he spins spells with those mathematics that are utterly unobserved or documented in reality, and they uproot otherwise like very well understood science at that point in time, from what I understand, like Planck's equations and stuff like that. Tesla understood it as buoyancy. It's simple density and buoyancy. If it's lighter than air, it'll float. If it's heavier than air, it'll sink. We don't need gravity. In general relativity, it's like because of the heliocentric stuff. But if you have a flat, stable plane, again, gravity's only. Even Neil deGrasse Tyson's like that. I don't know what it is. He eventually just admitted he's been beaten down so much that he was just like, I don't know. You can tell, like, it's. I don't know, man.
I was actually shocked. I was listening to a lecture from a professor at MIT recently that was talking about how quantum computers work, and to come to find out that they're actually based off of geomancy, which is a form of ancient divination.
Whoa.
They're split into 16 points. So in divination, the ancient way, they would cast lots, right? You take bones or pieces of whatever, and you would assign to each one either the weather or whatever you wanted to assign to that, and then you'd cast these lots. Well, the way these quantum computers work is the same way. It uses geomancy, and there's 4 rows broken into 4 sections, so 16, and so yeah, that they're basically what they've created is a divination machine. It's basically they're asking the quantum world. They're using divination, but through a computer instead of casting lots.
Is that similar to that Project Looking Glass? Like, do you know anything about that? Like, just observing every possible multiple outcome they allege that they eventually can figure out like which circumstances to take to get to their desired outcome. It's like supposedly uses like.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gravitational lensing, to like predict the future, like more or less. I don't know.
Well,
Just
this all
curious
gets
if you had
it.
anything.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know what you're talking about.
It sounds like the nonsense that they often try to like throw out there. That's why I bring it up, because maybe like
Well, I personally think that a lot of this information that they're getting to build this stuff, if you watch Ancient Aliens, they'll tell you that they're given it by aliens. I think that what we're dealing with is these individuals that are channeling or communing with the spirit world, that they're actually channeling demonic spirits or fallen angels. In Enoch, they're called the Watchers.
Yep.
And it states that in the last days that the Nephilim would return to deceive the entire world. So what better way to deceive the world than to tell them that doesn't your scripture say that that Christ will return with the clouds? Doesn't it say you were created in God's image? And I think that might have something to do with the whole hybridization program that everybody's been talking about.
Well, my
make themselves look more like us, right?
Exactly, absolutely. I have a friend who's an astrophysicist, and really, really smart guy, if you ask me. And he was like all dejected one day. He came to me. He's like, "Dude, my mentor kind of helped me realize something today. Like, it's kind of fucking me up. In a perfect vacuum of space, there's nothing to thrust off of. Therefore, there could be no course correction. Therefore, anything they've ever said that they've done, even as locally as Mars, and it doesn't have to. It can be unmanned missions. Never have. He's like, I'm starting to consider that because, and again, many physicists will tell you we cannot get outside low Earth gravity, the Van Allen belt. Like that'll never happen. Space travel past there. And again, that could almost like sounds like it lends to the idea of a firmament, something you can't get through or past. I don't know. I'm not saying. It's just interesting.
Well, that's what he says. I mean, if you think about it, the thought that in a vacuum,
combustible engines, he said anyways. He's like, it might be like interdimensional, or it might be some sort of thing that he's not like. But he's like, yeah, because if it's a perfect vacuum, as like theoretically, the deep void. There's
nothing. There's nothing to thrust off of.
There's no atmosphere.
The laws of kinetic energy, right? Well, the problem with that is they've actually tested that in vacuums, and I don't want to get into the physics of it, but basically, what he's saying, you would perceive it to be that way when you're just thinking of if you're in a vacuum and there's nothing to push up against, then how can you actually thrust against if there's nothing there? But they've actually tested it, and a lot of my research has been into electromagnetics and
That's what Tesla also says. The gravitational force that keeps things together. Like it could be explained through electromagnetism. He was like the freak on that stuff. He understood it well.
yeah. Tesla understood the nature of the universe. Is when he talks about
frequency and vibration, right?
if you only understood the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you'd have a key to the universe, right?
I wish you could tell. Guys, I'm wondering how long have we been going on here? Because I could sit here and pick at this guy's brain forever.
I was actually wanting to say something, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Well, the 3, 6, and 9 goes into the whole ratio of phi 1.618 because it's basically a ratio of thirds. And so what he was basically saying is if you understood the secret of phi 1.618, you'd have a key to understanding the universe because everything is governed by that ratio.
That's the fundamental law.
I think Mel wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
I think Mel's trying to say we should probably wrap it up.
I put it in the chat earlier. I was just trying to say like I didn't know how long this. I mean,
Yeah,
I
think
you're guys. I just don't know if you know.
Let me do the host duty for a second and wrap it up here for a little bit. I think that would be a really cool part.
By the way, Regina says hi. Regina's in the chat on Colt, and she says hi to Nick and ladies.
Hey,
Regina. What's up, Regina? Dude, Regina's my girl. She's cool. Like that lady's that chick's had my back since day one. It's good to see like something actually coming of it, huh? Oh, that's your boy, Regina.
What were you wanting to say, Melanie, on the whole 369 thing?
No, I wasn't even like commenting on that. I was when he asked how long we've been on. All I said was that we've been on for 90 minutes, and then I was saying I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, I'm sensing something here, guys. Let me play my host duty and just wrap this up for us, okay? And choose the next one.
I didn't mean to cut off that
No,
topic.
no,
I just wanted to like put a time.
Guys,
I've been talking way too long anyway, and I'm getting a little tired too.
Okay.
I'm falling asleep while we're talking.
Me too. So, guys, it's been an hour and a half. Let me wrap this up. When can I get you back for a Tesla discussion, bro?
Fridays are usually best for me, but whenever.
Fridays would probably be the most likely crowd, and we could actually hype it up next time and make sure it all goes over without any technical glitches. That would be a real fun conversation.
I just have to stop going into so much detail. I think I'm putting people to sleep.
No.
I find it interesting, dude.
I love this.
I've done a lot of research and I memorize a lot of the stuff, and I get talking about it, and you forget that some people, they might be into one side of it, but they're not really interested in the other side. So,
well, that's what I'm hoping we get some feedback from people out there. For God's sake, like tell us what you want to hear.
Questions,
questions, all that. We'll bring you the content you want if you just vocalize it, or let it be known. We have a lot of.
Regina says hi, Jake. Was surprised to see you live tonight. You didn't text me.
Oh, I didn't text you. I'm sorry. Make sure you give me your number again. I'll make sure to text you.
Who's that? Regina said that?
Yeah, guys.
She's funny as hell, man. All right, well, I know the high note to end it on. That sounds pretty good. So, seems to be that maybe this Friday we're gonna have a live stream about Tesla and whatnot. So you girls better study up and bring your Tesla talk and discussions and questions and all that. And you people out there better vocal up. Like, tell us what's going on. Tell us like what you want. Tell us we suck. I don't give a fuck. Just talk to me. Tell me you're out there. Nah, Pill.net all day. You guys hold it down. Fuck you too. Anybody? Any final thoughts? Anybody?
No, we talked about so many things I can't remember what we talked about.
That's my goal.
That's a pretty good fitting for ADHD. So.
Bingo, Mel always has a way to wrap it up like that. Michelle, any final thoughts?
Just Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas,
Perfect. And Michelle has a way to wrap it up like that. Yeah. Guys, thank you for listening out there who has. And I'm, again, sorry. I'm going to get better at the tech and be able to, like, talk to you guys more often soon, I promise. And it's going to be worth the wait because I'm going to make up for all my fucking...
oh, sorry. Regina.
We chat back. I'm not chatting back with anybody
we
once
have
in any of
another
these
chat
podcasts
from
we've done.
Regina.
What's that, Mel?
Regina says, no, Jake, Nick didn't text me, LMAO.
Oh, made me feel better there.
Dude, I thought she was hitting on Jake.
I was like, did I forget to text her?
I thought she was making a joke about hitting on Jake or something. And like Big Chuck, like her husband, like make him get mad or something.
Hey,
Chuck
I don't want no trouble. Okay, I don't want.
No, you don't. Not with Big Chuck. He's
don't fight.
I was like, that was a little personal for the stream, but okay.
That was hilarious.
I would like to say though that on the next show, if we do another show, I would like to hear a little bit more from Melanie and Mitchie on, because I know that Melanie, you're into having a brain fart. Was it
She's into
your mom was registered
She's a registered
I don't wanna-
nurse, but she's
a
also
dietitian and a nurse.
naturopath and
dietitian? That's right.
yeah. Well,
So I'd like
she's
to
not
get
a
into that
dietitian.
subject a bit.
She's not a diet. So okay. So my mom's a registered nurse, but she's also a naturopath and a certified detoxification specialist and a certified iridologist, which is another topic in itself.
a resume.
I grew up with her, but I am a certified diet coach and a certified detoxification specialist. I went through the same detoxification specialist program that my mom did, but that's
Okay.
yeah. So
Maybe we
she
could
wasn't
get into
that
some of
we're
the
talking about.
we could get into some of the herbal remedies for therapeutics and whatnot for what we're
we could definitely talk about herbs.
and Mitchie, I don't usually hear you talk very much during these shows.
I know
So
we
I
gotta pull
think
it out of her, man. We gotta suck it out
Next
of her.
time I'm just gonna come on and shut up and watch you two beautiful ladies do your things.
Bro, that's what I've been trying to do the whole damn time. Like I try to get them going. Nobody wants to hear
I'm
me
here for
talk.
comic relief. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be more next time.
You are good
But
for that.
Whiskey Blue says Merry Christmas, y'all. Whiskey Blue says Merry Christmas.
Whiskey
You
Blue.
too,
I
buddy.
like that handle, man.
Nick, do you have Regina's number? Because she's asking
Hell yeah, I have your number, girl. I talk to you hours a day on the phone. I'm
oh,
sorry if
no, she was kidding.
I know she's kidding. Like I knew that had to be a joke. It's like, damn right, I have your number.
But yeah, next time we'll talk for sure about.
Regina, what would you want to hear next show? Like throughout the week, if we can get another one before Friday or something.
It would be like the most interesting or like pertinent.
Somebody
Nick,
for out
Twitter
there, for the
handle.
love of God, give us a topic. What's wrong with it? What's that, Michelle?
She says Nick Twitter handle.
Dude, I'm so behind on that. I guess I have one, so I should throw it out there. N, the letter N as in noisy, T as in truck, U as in Urkel, R as in rocket, K as in kite, L as in lasagna, A as in asshole, and
Okay.
Turkla. That's it. Like it's kind of supposed to be like Tesla. I play on Tesla in my last name, which is I'm not gonna say it at the moment just because I still feel. Even though I've already put it out there a million times, I just don't feel like overtly
And
talking to my
Jake's?
family right now.
Jake's
What do you-
Twitter.
I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Facebook either.
Oh yeah, bro. I'm not either by that way. That's why I have to develop more. Come
I got fed
You
up
know
with
what?
those guys.
Hey,
Yeah.
can I plug? I'm gonna plug the business group if that's okay.
Go, dude. No, this is your show. You plug every last endeavor you're on. Go.
So hold on one second. Let me find it on the one browser and then I'll share it. Okay, so essentially I'll just tell you what it is and then I'll find the link and talk about it.
There you
But
go.
I started a group. It's on Facebook, but I'm gonna move it over to Discord as well and like just get
Hey,
as many. I mean,
Facebook
like,
too.
whatever platforms we can get to build
Yeah,
it.
true.
Obviously, we all know that the with everything that's coming, with the push for communism, the Great Reset, New World Order, whatever you want to call it, they are coming for small businesses. They do not want us to have property or the ability to hone our own resources. And the only thing that we can do with the incredible obstacles that they're going to throw at us as a result of standing up against them is stick together. So it's very small right now, but I did start a group on Facebook. It's called the Entrepreneurs for Freedom Support Group, and I just really want to encourage everybody to.
All the cool people are over here.
I might have to rejoin Facebook now.
There you go, bro.
Well,
I'm gonna
that's
take
what I'm
aliens
saying.
next
If we can get on
week.
other platforms, like I want to be on. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what the best way to organize it is.
Pill.net.
I don't know
The
when you
organizers
go on
over there,
multiple
guys, they're the-
platforms. Sorry, what?
I was just saying, Pill.net is the answer to all this. They're trying to be, anyways. Two dudes my age, in their best at their spare time, because they do have full-time jobs and families and stuff, are trying to develop a free speech, anti-censorship, no data mining platform. They don't want your data. They don't want it. You just need an email to sign up because you have to have some sort of response. They wouldn't want that. These guys are good guys, man. Matt Brown helped me get this started today. Like, he's the guy who came in and like just assisted because he saw me drowning. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of guys they are, and they don't ask for any money. Like they have made a platform where you can stream as a YouTube star, where they have the live chats so people can donate, and YouTube off the top before you're even allowed to be monetized. When you finally do become monetized, they grant you knighthood. They take 50% of it. Every bit that comes in the door, YouTube's give half that. Matt and Pill.net, they've taken 10%. I'm like, dude, take more. How do you guys keep the lights on with 10%? I mean, it's great. I love it. But like, dude, take more. If I ever get successful, I'm gonna throw so much money at Pill's way because I just love it. Every dollar that goes their way is another dagger in the fucking big tech guy's back, because they're trying to develop a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I would imagine. I'm not trying to speak for them, but like if they had the funds, the resources, and the time to do it, that's what they want to provide all these things the way they were social media was intended to be. I think Matt Brown told me one time, like before all this garbage happened. Like imagine without that, you know?
Yeah.
There's Entrepreneurs for Freedom Support Group on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Represent.
Thanks for doing that, Melanie. I think there's a lot of people out there right now that they're stressed out. They don't know what to do. They want to fight, but they don't know how to. So having, seeing the younger generation come up and take control of this and really try to organize is really, what people need right now, because otherwise they're just sitting at home waiting for everything to fall apart. So
yeah,
I think it's really cool that you guys are all under 30, aren't you?
No,
I think Nick's like 30.
No, I'm 31. Yeah, I'm 31. Michelle is.
That's
Michelle's gonna try to avoid the
I'm
answer.
41. So
Michelle, how old are you? I hear you. Like I see your silence over there. Come on.
29.
oh yeah, you're a baby. Yeah, but that's cool because it's going to take the younger generation really getting out there and waking people up to this. I'm an old man now, so I'm getting ready to leave the world, but
My brother,
I'll
we
do what
need
I can while I'm here. So
Just,
No,
we need
but
guys
this
like you.
is-
That's why I've been so persistent with trying to get you to trust me, because like we need your guys and dude, all the research you've done is insane.
Yeah, honestly, like I've spent so many.
it really is
years-
insane. I don't know how I've kept my sanity.
I love it.
No,
I'm glad you
I
have.
appreciate it. Like I talk to a lot of people about these things, and I mean, it's hard enough to find people who even know enough about it to be consistent, because like so many people who even believe in the New World Order will still get fooled at like the next psyop. You know what I mean? It's like they know it, but they don't.
Yeah, they
It's
don't want
really
to
hard
buy.
to
Yeah,
see people who get it, but then on like you kind of have a level of knowledge that's like only accessible to people who have like really been doing their research since before the internet.
because he approaches it in a way that's like he's looking for truth by like using physics and everything. Guys like
It's
him-
gotten me in a lot of trouble over the years. I stopped
Good.
for a while there
yeah,
because
yeah,
I
it
believe
gets
it.
hooked
life
close
was
to
getting
home.
a bit.
But you know what?
Crazy.
Like you're coming from like a unique standpoint. Your voice is definitely. I know that you've had an influence. Like I can. There's not many people who are able to stand where you're standing and have been doing like what you've been doing for.
Because
that
you're just
long.
very
Like, it's-
respectable and you
yeah.
do it in a very intelligent way that's hard to. I mean, even like I would love to hear anybody debate you. I would pay to like, go see that debate, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be willing to debate anyone. I mean, I've debated. That's why I said I use a different name on Quora, because all them activists were coming after me on Facebook.
Honestly, I'd really like to interview you personally. Like that's like a personal.
Well, Nick knows my Quora handle. He's
Yeah.
I've debated some UN scientists and some other guys.
Yeah.
I get my popcorn and I just sit
They're
there.
getting ready to ban me though, because
Oh, dude,
Of
I've been
course.
shadow man. I can't even imagine how much they suppressed you. I can't.
they've
even
been
imagine.
deleting my posts left and right. They
I've
do not
never
like
seen any
what I'm
alerts from you. I never like. I would have to go to my way to like make sure James is still alive sometime. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I never see you on my Quora.
Just so everybody knows, I have no intention of committing suicide. If they found me in a ditch
it
somewhere,
seems quite
Oh.
content.
it wasn't an accident.
So
Yeah,
we
yeah, he seems
were
quite
we
good.
were doing a
Last
stream-
person that said that ended up dead.
That
so
was
I don't care.
that's what I was saying. Nick and I were doing a stream on my channel like a week and a half ago, and we were talking about that woman from LearnTheRisk.org. I can't remember her name, but she was like the head of it. She worked for Big Pharma, and
Let's see if I can
she
find her.
was like
Keep
one
going.
of the major voices speaking out. And she made a Facebook post saying pretty much exactly that. And then, like a few days later, she just mysteriously died. So, and she had like all this weird stuff happen.
And she
like,
made a
went
video
back to
that said
her
that she was
house
not
and they
gonna
were, like,
die. Like,
tampering with her things and leaving very weird like statues, like symbolic statues in her house that she didn't own. Like it was.
They
very
violated her
bizarre.
home so
Yeah.
egregiously, and then she made a
They went to
video
her
like
computer.
because she was so scared, saying like, "Look, I'm not suicidal." The same old. And then she's suicided a couple days
I
later.
mean, yeah. So it's
Same old story,
it's
you
real,
know.
but that's the thing. It's like you're gonna die anyway, so you might as well live for what you believe in and like actually do something that you believe in with the time you have here. That's how I
Fight
see
for
it.
the truth. Chris,
Yeah.
that's right.
Exactly. And on that note, someone says, yes, Jake, we would love to hear more of your perspective.
Okay. I think
Awesome.
next
What do you
time
need?
I'd like to get more of you guys' perspective and learn a little bit more about you guys, and
Absolutely.
You guys should
maybe just
you guys
answer
should
some
air my
questions if
host
people have
more.
questions.
Yeah, well, people need to definitely speak up out there more, and we will facilitate it in here. But you guys should let me ask the questions, and all three of you just come. ready to be yourselves. Because I think I can pull it out, all three of you.
I'll be there.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, well, a better place to walk out than that high note.
All right.
For
Until next time, I
ADHD.
guess, huh?
Okay.
Yes. To infinity and beyond.